Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's TX141 here, your ace in the day pilot as always for arcade mode. Today I'm bringing out on the map, the ground strike map port, the Spitfire Mark 1. It's a rank 4 plane in the British line of War Thunder, armed with 8 7.7 Vickers machine guns. I've set the machine guns to, I believe it's a gun convergence of 500 metres and the fuel load to 30 minutes. Now there's something a little bit different about this gameplay. Normally when I record a gameplay for you guys, I play with the plane in question at the top of my list of planes in the lineup, i.e. it's the highest ranked plane in the whole lineup I'm using. However, here you might have noticed that in the lineup, my highest plane was actually a rank 8, a Spitfire Mark 5B. Now why am I doing this, you ask? Well, it's not for me to brag to you guys that I'm the best pilot in War Thunder. Well, I'm clearly not, I'm still a learner. I've even got my learner plates on this plane, you just can't see them, they're underneath the wings. But no, the whole point of this gameplay is to show you guys, especially those who are new to the game or who've played a few battles but are getting a bit annoyed at being taken out by players who are using higher ranked planes than your own, that anything's really possible with a fighter, given the right circumstances and as long as you play to your fighter's strengths and avoid its weaknesses, and you know what you're going up against. Now, this is the reason why I wanted to do this video was primarily because on the forum I kept reading posts about people saying the matchmaking spread was too wide, that having, say, your rank 2 playing up against a rank 4 or your rank 4 playing up against a rank 9 was getting a bit of a handful, and I thought, because I'm always playing usually at slightly higher ranks, why don't I give this a shot? Why don't I investigate? So I thought I'd just do this. Now, the wonderful thing about the Spitfire Mark 1, for those of you who are interested who haven't got it yet, and this is my personal opinion, it's different for each of us, each to their own as I always say, is that the Spitfire Mark 1 shares traits from every category. It's a good climber, it's one of the best climbers of its rank or rank set, and it still has a climb rate which can match up to rank 9 planes, minus the Messerschmitt 109 G2 of course. In addition to that, it has a decent armament. I'm not going to say it's brilliant because it can't rip planes to pieces compared to, say, cannons. However, the 8 7.7mm machine guns do their job once you get a consistent firing solution. In addition to that, this plane's incredibly manoeuvrable. It's not Japanese manoeuvrable, i.e. a 0, but it comes close, especially if you keep your speed between 200 to 400 km an hour and use landing flaps. Now my first target is a Yak 9T. As you can see there, that we didn't go into a one-on-one dogfight with the guy really. We managed to pick him or her off, and we managed to get the kill, by the way. The Messerschmitt 109 didn't take it from us. We managed to get the kill on the Yak 9T by capitalising on the situation. They were climbing after one of our planes, so we just came along and caught them at the apex of their climb. And that's where the machine guns come, when the machine guns really come into their own. If you can get a really nice burst off on someone just for a couple of seconds, and I've got my weapon maintenance up to 40, but I've done that through just natural grind on the plane, no use of gold or anything, you'll be able to perform said bursts. Now I fire a small burst at this S79 just to make sure it goes down towards lower altitudes, because I know how a lot of players like to use their level altitude bombers or medium to heavy bombers. I know that's a light bomber, but in general they like to use their bombers up at higher altitudes and keeping them level. That way you've got the maximum target range, you've got the maximum time to prepare for your target run, and you don't have to worry about being hit by low altitude AA guns. But enough about other players and other fighters, etc. Let's go back to the Spitfire. So I've already got my first kill, and it hasn't been too bad a game in all honesty. We haven't taken any hits, and we're just using the altitude that we managed to gain at the very start of the game and the characteristics of the plane to play into our own. Now you'll notice that below me, climbing, was an LA5 and another Yak 9. The LA5, keep an eye on if you can, because he or she comes back much later in this game, and you'll love it when they return to it. But in the meantime, I'm heading over towards this PE2. I think it's a PE2 or a PE3. I can't really tell on my screen. It's a PE2, I can see now, because they seem to be flying at a level altitude and keeping quite high. They might be trying to sneak towards our airfield to take out the AA guns, or just sneak into a good position in order to attack our ground units. So I'm going into a slight dive, trying to maintain my speed below 600 km an hour, because that's where this plane loses its control, and I open up with my machine guns. Now what I'm noticing as I'm firing into the back of this PE2 Peshka is that I'm getting ripped to pieces pretty much by the 7.62mm machine gun on the back of it. So I decide to roll over and get a bit of height above him and take another shot. Now my second firing solution is much more effective, although I am losing a bit of distance and now I'm actually gaining on the PE2 again. I've managed to take out some key control surfaces, including I think the rudder, and I've damaged the tail. Although in my excitement for trying to shoot this fella down, I've actually jammed my guns, so I've had to reload as a result. Just showing that even if you have a high weapon maintenance, it doesn't help if you just hold down the trigger forever. So now as you can see into the text, I'm typing, I'm on my way, dear fellow Jelly Welly, because I'm heading over towards that Wellington on our team, which is being chased by a Yak 9K, I believe. And I'm trying to help him or her out as much as possible by asking them to fly towards me and I'll be able to intercept. But as you can see, I'm a little bit too far out and unfortunately I don't make it in time. However, I'll probably be able to avenge them, hopefully. Now in general folks, I'm aware that some of you might be a bit bored of the whole flying up at high altitudes theme that I have going on, but it's really my playstyle in honesty, and I'm playing to the strengths of this plane and trying to get every engagement in this match to be one-on-one, just because if I was to dive in against a load of high-ranked planes, especially planes such as the Yak 9K, and there's that LA5 you just saw him in the bottom of the screen, keep an eye on him or her. If you really don't play to the strengths of a plane, especially when you're a lower rank up against a high rank, you're going to find that even if you're the best pilot in the game, you go into a furball, someone's going to clip you with a 37mm cannon or a 20mm cannon, and you're going to lose the control surface straight away, just because lower ranked planes in general don't have as high durabilities. I mean, in War Thunder, I've noticed in arcade, every plane can take about the same amount of damage, and we just got that PE2 kill, so we're on 2 kills now. So no, but every plane will get ripped apart, but you're more likely to at the lower ranks. So I dive on this Wellington head on, and my first burst, and I'm trying to attack it from the front in order to take out the pilot so I don't have to spend as much time behind the machine gun turret. My first burst takes out the front gunner, so I go in for another burst. Now I managed to aim it so I can take out the pilot, but this Yak 9K's decided to come over and engage me in a one-on-one. So I loop over him, and I pick him or her off. And this is what I love about the Spitfire, you can play it to its strengths against any foe. And with that final burst, we've ripped that Yak 9K into pieces and set it on fire, so we're now at 4 kills, we just need one more. And I'm getting quite cocky at this point while I was playing, but this was, I believe, a week ago I recorded this, so I decided to type in tally ho old sport. And my goodness, yes, I do speak like that in an English accent. But anyway, now, remember that LA5 I was telling you about earlier? Just keep watching, they're going to return very shortly, I believe. I haven't watched this replay for in a while, but I believe they return any second now. So I'm just cruising around up at high altitude, 4,200 metres, and suddenly I'm taking cannon shells from nowhere, and I managed to dodge the main burst. I take a slight hit though, and it's this LA5. The rank 6 version, I believe it is. It's just the LA5F, or just LA5, and I have to go toe to toe with them. And using my slight altitude advantage and better turn rate, I managed to get behind the LA5. And with that machine gun burst, I managed to damage their tail control, as it says on the right hand side of the screen, and they're gradually heading towards the ground. And as you'll see shortly, I decided not to pursue them, by the way, just because I've done the damage to the plane, and I really do not, I need to rub it into them that I managed to take them out. That's the 5th kill, so that's my ace. And also secondly, if I've taken out a control, I've put them out of the game. Unless it's say a wing control or something along those lines, or just damage to the rudder control, the plane can still fly pretty well. But if I see it, if you take out the tail controls of that, they've got to go and land. They're not dogfight effective anymore. And as a result, you've pretty much knocked that plane out of the game for at least a minute. And that's the logic really. Why endanger yourself when you won that dogfight, when you won that engagement? It's not about getting the massive score, it's just about, well, it's my way of having fun. But it's each to their own, and I'm getting all tangled up in my words. So for the rest of this game, and I'm thinking at this point, well, the game's about to end because we've only got 1 ground unit left on our team. But I think that it's a destroyer, and I think it glitches out for a little bit. as in it can't be taken out. So I think about 4 or 5 enemy bombers decide to drop bombs on it and then just ram it and it doesn't get killed. But anyway, I'm getting all hysterical with it. Nothing else really happens to this game. I just cruise around at higher altitudes because I know if I dive down there, as I was saying earlier, I'm probably going to get ripped to pieces, and at the same time I'm just waiting for the game to end now. So I do a couple of little aerobatic manoeuvres, not that I know many with the mouse though, and I do harass a couple of the enemy bombers, but I never get a kill or an assist on them, they just fly off, such as this Vickers-87, which I'll show you the clip here, myself harassing the Vickers-87. So I just build up a little bit of speed and I've got the altitude advantage on them, and I'm angling my approach just so that if they do decide to put their nose up, I believe it's a Vickers-87 D version with the 220mm cannons, I might be wrong, but if they do decide to go into a climb, I can turn and roll under them and go behind them. That's my usual engagement tactic. But they haven't decided to put their nose up, even though I've given them thorough warning that I'm coming, and I release a burst of the machine gun ammo. And I never actually achieve a critical in that plane. I managed to damage the fuselage, but the Vickers-87 is pretty well armoured, so the 7.7s are rather ineffective unless you get a perfect burst off towards the cockpit. So that's really it for the rest of the game. I harass SBD-3 Dauntless, I go after a Heinkel 111, I managed to take out, I think, a pair of the gunners, but nothing really comes about anymore. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip towards the scoreboards at the end of the game, and I'm going to give my analysis on those. Okay, so here's the scoreboard. It's just loading up now. And as you'll see, we weren't at the top of the scoreboard, we weren't at the bottom, but we got a pretty nice score. When it appears, slow loading PC. But no, we were in the middle of the scores. What's more, we got 8,000 XP and just shy of 5,000 silver lines, which is good for that rank of plane. We also managed to get, I believe it's the Balancer Award, for taking out the most planes of 5 ranks or more higher than our own. So this game goes to show, well, I believe it goes to show that using your plane to its advantages, even if it is a lower ranking plane, you can take on the big boys and girls quite effectively. You won't be at the top of the scoreboard if you're trying to play conservatively and also keep the plane intact, but you can do well. And on that note, I've been TX141. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and feel free to subscribe for more content on my channel. Until then, take care.